Alright, so hi, it's Tiffany. I am actually getting ready to go see the Michael Jackson biopic again. This time with my boyfriend because he hasn't seen it yet, and I'm forcing him to go because it's like, yeah, you have to go. This is something you have to see. And I just dropped my lip gloss, but yeah, I'm dressed like this. I'm not wearing this to the movie theater. I'm not being that extra this time because it's going to be a 2 o'clock showing, and from what I could tell when I booked our tickets, there's about 20 other people there, so it's not really like I need to show off, but I'm just wearing this for the sake of video. So I've had somebody on Tumblr reach out to me twice asking me for my review of the film. And I have absolutely no idea who it is because they sent it anonymously. But, here we are. Because I said I did a review on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook. Can you put it to your YouTube channel? So this is obviously somebody who's familiar with my YouTube channel. But, yeah. I did go see Michael April 22nd as part of an early access ticket sales and everything. So I am proud to say that yes, I am part of what caused the film to break 2 world records. The greatest opening for a musical biopic, and I think the greatest sales for a musical movie in general. I really don't know. I just really wanted it to beat out the Taylor Swift film, and it did. So I'm extremely pleased because I am not very fond of Miss Swift. Okay, so the film itself, I love the film. I loved it. It was like stepping out of the real world and stepping into like Michael Jackson world, because the 2 actors who portrayed Michael, I think the little boy's name is Giuliano, who played Little Michael, and Jafar Jackson, Michael Jackson's nephew, who portrayed, adult Michael. Both did a fantastic job. Like, I literally forgot these are actors, these are people in makeup and costumes, and I really thought who they were portraying. Because, I know everybody's talking about Jafar, like the big focus is on Jafar. And I'm going to get Jafar his flowers in a second. But Giuliano is a child, like an actual minor child. And that kid acted, emoted, danced, and sang like the spirit of Michael Jackson took over that kid. Like, I looked at this kid and I looked into his eyes on the screen and I saw Michael Jackson. And, I was even telling my friend, because I went and saw it with my best friend and her mother. And I was sitting next to my best friend and I kept elbowing her and saying, the attention to detail is ridiculous. Like it was, the attention to detail. Like, I could look at particular outfits, even though they didn't say exactly what was happening. I knew what it was. Like, they had these little blue shimmery shirts on. That was the Apollo Theater. That was the Apollo Theater. They had one where they tried to mask what it was, but I knew dead on it was the Ed Sullivan Show. The only difference was, if you watch the actual video from 1969 of them on the Ed Sullivan Show, Michael Jackson has a big magenta hat on. And for whatever reason, they didn't have it on. Maybe it was so you couldn't say, oh, they copied the Ed Sullivan Show. But it was the Ed Sullivan Show. And, the costumes were so spot on. Because there was one point, I told everybody this, you've seen me post it on Facebook, that I kept elbowing my friend. I'm surprised she doesn't have a broken rib at this point. Ebony, I'm sorry. But I kept elbowing my friend and telling her, oh, look at the detail of this, look at the detail of this. And one detail that stuck out to me with little Michael is when Michael Jackson was a child, his early press photos, he would have a ring on. And this was like, late 60s, early 70s. So he's still kind of in the psychedelic, hippie, peace and love movement and all that. It was a golden ring that's in the shape of a heart like a heart-shaped peace sign, because I posted the picture of Michael, and you could see the ring very clearly, and they had the ring on Juliana playing Michael. And I remember I just looked at it and I was like, that attention to detail is ridiculous. The singing and the dancing, I really credit the actors who played not only the two Michaels, but also the two sets of the Jackson brothers, with the exception of Randy, because he had a stick up his butt. And, his non-participation affected the film. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. But these gentlemen worked their butts off. And, the dancing, the movement, everything. I know I've had a lot of people say, well, they don't look like Jermaine. They don't look like Tito exactly. They don't look like this, like that exactly. Okay, it's not about them. It's about Michael. Because if people went into the theater and saw somebody who did not look like Michael Jackson, shut the fuck up, Fabio. Who did not look like Michael Jackson, all hell would break loose. All hell would break loose. But I have not heard anybody complain about Juliana. I've not heard nobody complain about Jafar, which is good. Except for Fabio. So shut the fuck up, Fabio. You merely look like Michael Jackson. You cannot sing like him. You cannot dance like him. You look like you stepped in an anthill, son. Sorry. But, I hope I don't get in trouble with this guy. Cause I don't feel like it. But, as far as the film goes, the costuming was great, the music was great. Jafar, I believe Jafar was born to play this role. Like, yeah, it's cool that you got a member of the Jackson family to do this. And I'm actually glad, shut up Fabio, I'm actually glad that they picked a member of the Jackson family to portray Michael Jackson. Because, Jafar actually was very young when Michael Jackson died, but he did have contact with Michael Jackson. This was his uncle. This was, he was in the family. He was around him. And I feel like that lends something different that a regular actor or a tribute artist or an impersonator could not do. Not saying that there aren't some great impersonators. I'm personally friends with great impersonators. Hi, Carlo. Hi, Remy. And, I feel like that familial connection added to it. Because you really do have an actual blood Jackson portraying older Michael Jackson. That's his nephew. That's Jermaine's son. And Jafar worked his ass off. I've seen the behind-the-scenes videos of Jafar perfecting his dance moves. And having Prince, who's Michael's son, his cousin, in the background watching him, instructing him, making sure that he was perfecting his father's moves. And, there's just going to be some people who say, well, Prince is not his son, blah, blah. Go argue with your mother. You're worried about whether or not that's Michael's son or not. Some of y'all don't even know who the fuck your fathers are. Leave Prince alone. And before you get into my ass, my father raised me. My father was in my house. He was a present parent, and he raised me until he passed away. So, those kids are his kids. And, instead of worrying about who's somebody's father or not, worry about your own father if you know who your father is. So, back to Jafar. Jafar did wonderfully. His entire aura was Michael Jackson. It's like I said with Juliana, it was like little Michael Jackson, got into him. Older Michael Jackson just took over. Like, his facial expressions, his mannerisms, the way he held his body, the way he walked, the way he spoke, especially his voice. Because I remember the first scene you see of Jafar as Michael. He's looking out a window, and then he turns and starts speaking to somebody. I believe he's speaking to Quincy Jones, but I'm not quite sure. But I do remember the moment his mouth opened and he started speaking, I quite literally shouted in the theater because he sounded exactly like Michael Jackson. Like, he literally sounded like him. And I don't know how true it is, but part of Jafar's audition to play his uncle was him doing a voice note, imitating his uncle's voice. And he's spot on. But I've spoken to quite a few Jacksons, and with the exception of Prince, for some reason, they all sound alike. For some reason, Prince has a southern accent. And I'm from Texas, so I know a southern accent when I hear one. And to say he was born and raised in California, he has a southern accent. And I asked him one day, I said, Prince, why do you have, how does a boy who's, born and raised in California have a southern accent? And then he was talking about spending time with different family members, who are in the South, and, he kind of picked it up. So, it's kind of jarring to hear Prince as compared to the rest of his family. But Prince is a sweet guy. He's a nice guy. I've met Prince maybe 3 or 4 times, in the last few years. And I will probably see him later this year because I'm doing a couple of Jackson events. Not in this. This is used for an event last year. But, you really, I like the way that this story is told in certain aspects as opposed to Jackson's An American Dream. Because with Jackson's An American Dream, it really focused on the story of the entire family. So you have, Michael going on and worrying about his appearance and wanting to get his nose job and that sort of stuff. Then you have Tito trying to marry Dee Dee and Joe being opposed to it. Joe was basically opposed to everybody getting married. There was, Jermaine's little deal with Motown and, him marrying Hazel and Joe having an issue with that. Basically, Joe had an issue with everything. Same as with this film. This film, though, focused more so on Michael Jackson's story. Of course, there's not no Michael Jackson without the Jackson 5 and all this sort of stuff being mentioned. But, he was more the central focus. And a gentleman named Coleman Domingo played Joseph Jackson. And that man played the hell out of Joseph Jackson. Because from the minute he got on screen, I was physically intimidated. And, he looked like Joe. He acted like Joe. His mannerisms were like Joe. And I don't know how you're able to, access media where you can, pick up on Joe Jackson. Because I kind of Joe Jackson looks a lot like my father. So I spent a lot of my time tuning my dad out when he would be angry. So when Joe started shouting and going on with Michael, I kind of disassociated too. So, but yeah, he was really, I hate to say it, but they kind of painted Joe as the villain of the film. And, I learned specific things through this film that I was not aware of. Like, okay, the Victory Tour. I thought Michael agreed to do the Victory Tour, just because his brothers wanted to do it. I did not know that Joseph went and met with Don King, sat down with this man, and the two of them conspired and basically planned up the Victory Tour around Michael Jackson. And Michael heard about it at the last moment. Like, oh, you're going to do this concert with your brothers. The Pepsi commercial is Joseph's fault because Joseph decided to do the Pepsi commercial and, shoehorned Michael into it. So as of now, I know that there are a lot of fans who are just seething with Joe Jackson right now because even though Joseph is dead, it really put the spotlight onto a lot of people of, oh my God, the Pepsi commercial never had to happen. The burn incident with the Pepsi commercial never had to happen. But because Michael got pushed into it by his father, he did it and his head got turned into a Roman candle. And I know another scene immediately following the burn sequence pissed off a lot of people because I've seen this played 2 different ways. And I'm more inclined to believe that the actual way it played out is the way it played out in Michael versus Jackson's An American Dream. Because they both did the Pepsi commercial. They both did the burn. They both did the thing where Michael's under the yellow blanket, waving the gloved hand and everything. So, Jackson's An American Dream, you have, I believe the man's name is Lawrence Hilton Jacobs, played Joe Jackson. He was also in Welcome Back, Kotter. And this is also why I don't like to wear this costume, because all of the sequins keep snagging each other. So, in the 1992 version of Jackson's An American Dream, that Joe Jackson is going and, checking out his son and everything. So a journalist says, well, Mr. Jackson, so he said something to the effect of, like, how are you getting along with Mike, blah, blah, blah. That Joseph said, that's my son. Like, he's being protective of Michael. He's worried about the well-being of his son. Fast forward to 2026. Michael gets set up like a Roman candle. All the Jacksons are in the waiting room. Doctor comes out to give, a status report. And the first thing out of Joseph's mouth is, how soon can he get back on stage? You can hear a pin drop in the theater. And then if you look at the screen, everybody's kind of looking at him like, what the fuck? Even Catherine, Nia Long is playing Catherine. All of them are like, are you fucking serious right now? So the doctor kind of chewed him out and is like, Mr. Jackson, your son is lucky to be alive. His face could have, been set on fire. Something could have gone down into his brain. Just explaining what all of the pitfalls could have been that could have actually potentially killed Michael Jackson at the age of 25. And all Joe cared about was, when can my little moneymaker get back on stage and start shaking his ass and making money for me? And, there really was no actual resolve for that scene. There was no aha moment. There was no resolve with Joe Jackson by the end of the film. But, yes, they had, you really kind of got to see how Michael was. And, I know that's what critics who wanted to lambast the film and wanted to, see this spectacle of somebody who's so weird and so strange and blah, blah, blah. And, oh, this is a monster, this is a pedophile, this is blah, blah. And no, this film showed Michael in a very sympathetic light, which is what I'm glad about. Because people like to forget that, behind all of the sparkle, behind all of the glove and, singing and hip thrusting and all of that, that's a human being. That was a human being. That was a real, actual flesh and blood person. And, it's nice to see his story told in a fair way, told in a nice way, told in a complimentary way. Because, I have been a Michael Jackson fan since 1995. And I hate to say it, but I'm more accustomed to hearing negative things being said about Michael Jackson, particularly in the media, as opposed to positive things. Like, when this film came out, I don't want to say I didn't expect it to break records like it has. I just didn't expect the reception to be as wonderful as it has been. Like, I sincerely in my heart thought, this film was going to come out and, people were going to hate it. People were going to tank it. People were just going to not like it. And, I'm usually never wrong, but I was glad to be wrong this time. And it makes me feel good to see, Michael Jackson being treated positively for once. To see, people dressing up, people taking their kids, to see him. The kids are excited to see him. I really wish I had a child, because if I did, my kid would be at the theater every single day. I would literally go take out loans for my kid to be in the theater, like, as much as she wanted to. Like, we just saw the movie yesterday. You want to see it again today? Okay, go put on your glove. We're going to go. That's the type of parent I am. That's the type of parent I would be. And, it makes me feel good to see. I mean, I turned 40 on the 8th. May 8th is my birthday. I turned 40. And to see children as young as 2 and 3 excited, begging to see Michael Jackson, dancing to his music, wearing little costumes, little kid-sized costumes, and, just being so excited and so happy and so pleased and everything, it really makes me proud, because I go to these Michael Jackson events, right? And, a lot of people would just believe, oh, it's just a bunch of adults, a bunch of older people, getting together. No, I see children. Like right now on my fridge right now is a picture of a little girl. I can't remember her name, but I'm sure I'll see her when I go to California again, so I can ask her name. But she was at Forest Lawn. She was at the cemetery paying her respects to Michael Jackson. The kid's like 7 or 8 years old. And I've seen kids even smaller. The youngest kid I saw the last time I was at Forest Lawn was a little boy named Ace, and he was 4 years old at the time. He's like famous on Instagram or TikTok or something for dancing like Michael Jackson. And, I just see kids everywhere I go. I go to, all of these events. There's children there. There's children there. Somebody's bringing their kids. Somebody's bringing their grandkids. Their nieces or nephews. So it's always a family thing. Just like how the Jacksons were, a family thing. And, I don't want to give away too much of the film, but, I say Jafar gave a really wonderful performance portraying his uncle, and I feel like he should at least get some type of an award. Like, I feel like that film should get something. It should get awards for costuming, for makeup, for Jafar as the lead actor, possibly for Joe, for Coleman Domingo as, Joe Jackson as supporting actor. Like, there should be something there for them to get at the Academy Awards. I kind of expect the Academy Awards to snub that film because it's the fucking Academy Awards. But, don't think I forgot how they snubbed Moonlight that time. So, but I would like to see the film receive some, awards recognition. It should, with, as, like I said, it's broken 2 records already that I'm aware of. People are steady going to see it. The theater that I'm going to with my boyfriend in a little while has 8 different show times for this film. 8 for this film. And that's just one theater in town. We have a second theater also showing the film at the same time. And, it's just great for me to see a resurgence of Michael Jackson. Because, like I said, I've been here since 1995. I've seen everything. I've seen the highs, the lows. I've seen, the trials, the comeback, the concerts, this, the that. Everything like that. I mean, I've stood firm. I've stood on business the entire time for 30 years. And, I like to think, I'm kind of an authority on Michael Jackson. But, as a fan, it really does my heart good to see the reception that he's getting, the reception that's happening, and it's absolutely wonderful. So I'm going to see the film today with Michael. The next week, next Sunday, I'm going again in Houston with my friend Ebony and her mom, and we're going to see our friend Gerald, and all of us are going to go see the film in Houston. So, there's more times I'm going to go see this film. And I can't tell you how many times I'm going to go. Like I said, I aim to break my This Is It record. I saw This Is It in theaters 9 times. So if I can see Michael 10 times, I'd be happy. And I'm going to get it when it comes to streaming and, DVD and blah, blah. Oh, but also, the film is 2 hours and 10 minutes long. It was supposed to be 4 hours long. But because Randy Jackson, co-wrote certain songs and certain things, different scenes had to be reshot, retooled, redone, because that bald man didn't want to lend certain songs. And you will see that when you see the film. If you know the actual events that were inspired by what's on the screen. But even though Randy threw a monkey wrench in it, the film still did box office success. And I have to take this off because I actually have nothing on under this. I just put this on for the video. But I have to take this off and put on my actual outfit that I'm wearing to the movie theater because this is getting hot. But yeah, this should go up on YouTube sometime tonight. And if you still haven't gone to see the film, I totally encourage you to go see it. It is a good film. You will be singing, you will be dancing, you will be laughing, you will be cheering. You will walk out of the theater feeling very good and with a smile on your face. All right, so go see Michael and tell your friends about it and take your friends to see it too. Bye.